That's running full-time machine.
Hello, welcome to the Desert Blockchain monthly meetup. My name is Jay Carpenter, and this is our monthly meetup. It'll be going from 7 p.m. Arizona time to about 8:30 p.m. Arizona time. It is Wednesday, May the 31st, 2017, and tonight we're going to have 3 presentations in addition to just kind of going around the room and introducing each other as part of the Phoenix community, and also whoever's online. If you'd like to introduce yourself, you're welcome to. But tonight we're going to be talking about Ripple and also the possibility of creating a Phoenix Blockchain Workspace. And then we're going to be talking about some new announcements from Protocol Labs regarding Filecoin, CoinList, and SAFT, which is escaping me right now. I think it's called Safe Agreement for Future Tokens. So anyway, got a good group tonight, and George is going to be presenting tonight, as well as Jacob. And basically what we do, hello. Welcome. If you don't mind muting until you're ready to speak, we'd appreciate that. We're just getting started, so got some folks joining online, and basically, usually what we do, we like to keep the event kind of small so we can kind of get to know one another, what we're interested in, what our areas of expertise are, because this is a really broad area. So usually what we do is kind of just go around the room and introduce ourselves and kind of say what you're interested in getting out of being here tonight. So, Scott?
Sure, yeah, I'm Scott. I guess my main shtick in the cryptocurrency space is privacy. And that's currently drawn me to Monero as kind of my main area of interest and focus and what I tend to watch. Although there's other decentralized stuff like Filecoin and stuff that I've been watching. But yeah, what brings me here today is just kind of an info dump and learning about what else is going on that I don't typically watch.
Cool. Will you say just briefly what Filecoin is? I've seen it. It looks like a storage mechanism, but what is that?
Yeah, it's basically a decentralized encrypted storage system. So basically, you get paid to store other people's data, but their data is encrypted, so you can't, peek at it or whatever. And you get paid in Filecoin for doing so.
Cool. Okay, great.
Can I do a sound check? I just want to make sure people can hear me.
Can somebody put your video on and say, yeah, we can hear you? Just put your thumbs up.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Perfect.
Right. Okay, great. I am Jacob Nguyen, and I love new technology. I love the emergence of the internet. I'm in the healthcare industry, so revenue cycle was a big deal. And I learned about blockchain, and I just fell in love with blockchain, and it was 24/7 of blockchain. I kind of bugged Jay to a point where I was getting information. I love Desert Blockchain. I think it's great to have different ideas. I learned a lot about Monero. I learned a lot about Dash. I learned a lot about Bitcoins. And I think these are the sessions when you self-learn, where you actually improve and enhance yourself from a knowledge standpoint, as well as potentially economics. I think Monero's done well in the last 60 days. And my goal in being here is to learn as much as possible and share information. And that's the reason my purpose of tonight is to share a little bit more about Ripple.
So, cool. Thanks, Jacob.
My name is Chad, and I'm here because I'm looking for a file storage solution for an image application.
Cool.
I've experimented a lot with Ethereum.
Okay.
And have done some things in that space.
Great. Yeah. Are you familiar with IPFS at all?
I'm not.
Okay.
So what is IPFS?
That's the Interplanetary File System.
Oh, okay. That's the satellite network.
No, I think you're thinking of Nexus.
Nexus.
On
Okay. Yes. So
Yeah.
there's so many things that are
I
in the
know.
ecosystem.
It's hard to keep track of all this stuff, but
Oh, the interplanetary file system.
yeah. So if you're looking for a storage solution, that's a very different way to approach storage, this is the right place to be, because we talk a lot about IPFS, the interplanetary file system, and tonight we're going to be talking about Filecoin, and that is a way to sort of become a Dropbox yourself, where you can either earn money by storing other people's content, or you can pay other people to be assured that your content is stored on a distributed network, peer-to-peer. And anyway, so you're in the right place.
Yeah, the Filecoin was what attracted me.
Oh, cool. Great. Thank you. JP?
Yeah, hi, I'm JP, and my company, we actually do CAD design for steel frame housing, and we built a Bitcoin mining center that's 30,000 square feet for future development, and we've come up with some energy solutions for the mining facility, and I'm here to learn about new technology, and I basically am a investor in digital currencies, and I'm looking at arbitrage, and I'm really curious about why India is selling Bitcoin at $3,100, and here it's at $2,200, and why? Where's the Bitcoin average? What's going on with that? There's no average at all. It's not a world average, it's a localized average. There you go.
Cool.
Exciting times.
All right, welcome. Is your facility close to Phoenix, or is it someplace else?
Yeah, it's here in Phoenix.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Jason.
Yeah, my name's Jason. So I've been recently, over the past few months or so, I've done several things. I've participated in various hackathons. I did the IPFS, Ethereum, MetaMask hackathon. I've been working a lot with Solidity recently, learned how to create tokens on top of the Ethereum blockchain, et cetera. Very surprisingly simple. It's like 10 lines of code to create a token, right? And I've also been working with several others in creating various mining operations. Have a few rigs myself, 30 so GPUs or whatever, about 8 GPUs per rig, but also looking into potential solutions for like 24 GPU miners, as well as up to 100 GPUs using this thing called PCIe packet switching or whatever, so you can do all kinds of graphics card type magic. But also looking into distributed file system storage solution. Currently have money for about like a petabyte of storage or so. So looking into different, right now it seems like the most incentive is in burst coin, just because that's the most incentive in return. But I do like SIA, I like storage. I like Filecoin. I'm waiting for the new white paper for Filecoin, but been waiting for that one. I'd like to hear more about the Filecoin. So looking into those solutions as well. Just recently actually helped, just now we came from helping him set up a miner as well, Rodney over here. So working on all kinds of different things in the distributed space, from miners to software development.
Cool. Thanks, Jason. Right?
Yep, my name's Rodney. I'm new to the whole crypto world. I really didn't get engaged into it until about the beginning of May. I built my first mining rig a couple of days ago with the help of Jason here, to kind of, held my hand through the process, and we're just tweaking it and kind of overclocking the graphic cards and things like that now, so we can get the most out of it. But yeah, I'm just excited about, learning more about this space, and I'm really excited about anything that disrupts the current social structure, because it needs to be disrupted. Anything that disrupts the current financial system, because it's crooked. So that's really why I'm here.
Cool. Great. Is there anything in particular you'd like to learn about tonight?
No, I love learning too. So I'm pretty open. I want to absorb as much information as possible and realize how I can best be involved in this whole space.
Cool. All right. George.
Hi, so my name is George. I'm a technology marketer. I started off originally in crowdfunding. That's sort of one of the things I did on the side. I ended up managing our content for a website and helping a little bit with some conferences, and started writing. And then I ended up currently helping a company that's a fintech player here in Scottsdale. Actually, they do Click IPO. They help you can integrate your existing brokerage account and get access to IPOs using the app. And so that's pretty cool. I'm writing for them as well, analyzing IPOs. And so one thing I'm interested in now is ICOs. And so that's a new fun interest for me that I want to start exploring that I don't know too much about. But really, I'm interested in smart contracts. And one of my missions now is to team up with local stakeholders and help bring more of an investment from all of the stakeholders here into developing an initiative to develop blockchain here in Phoenix.
Cool. Hello, welcome.
Hi, I'm Patricia. I was first introduced to blockchain through George. He's very passionate about it and just started talking to me and how groundbreaking and how many applications it can have. And I'm mostly interested in it because of global politics with water and how it can be applied to that sector. So, yeah, coming here to know more about it and see what other viewpoints there is on blockchain.
Have you looked at some of the other resource allocation applications for blockchain? Like there's energy applications using blockchain, things like that I think could probably be applied to water.
Yeah, well, I've heard a little bit about it. I've been kind of introduced to the surface of it, which is why I've been wanting to know more about it and get more involved, or at least know more about how it can be applied to all of that. And I think it eventually will.
Cool. There's a set of podcasts that I'd highly recommend you check out. It's called epicenter.tv.
Okay.
And they've had some sessions on like energy management and supply chain management using diamonds on the blockchain and things like that. So epicenter.tv. Their most recent podcast came out, I think yesterday's, has Brendan Eich, who created JavaScript. And I haven't listened to it yet, but
It's very good.
Have you listened to it?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's talking about a market for attention.
The basic attention token.
Yeah,
Instead
yeah.
for the Brave browser.
Yeah. So that should be a really good one. And anyway, just about every week it's extraordinary. So, okay, anybody online? Luke, would you like to introduce yourself? If you want to unmute, just whoever's online, you want to, yeah, go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Luke Mays. I am a enthused. I just came from American Express, Capital One before that, Wells Fargo before that. That's kind of where my experience is. But long before that, I was in the startup world, and I'm hoping to get back into that kind of more entrepreneurial thing. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I know you and a few others at the table.
Great. Thank you. Anybody else that's joining us online, would you like to introduce yourself and what you'd like to get out of tonight? And that's fine if you don't want to.
Yeah, this is Dan. I can just say thanks for sharing, everyone. This is my first event of this. A couple of my coworkers who have attended these before, and so I'm fairly new to the space of blockchain, and so I don't have anything in particular that I'm interested in, but I'm definitely trying to get up to speed on Bitcoin at this point, because I'm sort of new, and I know that's the main one of the main working applications built on the blockchain today. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm David. I've been following Bitcoin for, I think, 3 or 4 years now, and it's very interesting to me. And one thing I'd like to know about today, if anyone wants to help me out by shedding some light on it, is just the difference in how Bitcoin functions versus the currency for Ethereum, and how one is inflationary, but is Ethereum going to function the way Bitcoin does as far as a store of value, and why or why not is kind of one thing I really like to know tonight. And I'm also looking forward to the Ripple talk. So I got the kids tonight though, so I'm gonna be on mute pretty much the whole night, and I appreciate just to sit in. So thanks everyone.
Thanks, David. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to leave it to Jacob to talk a little bit about the difference between Ethereum, Bitcoin, and maybe Ripple at the end. Okay. Okay, anybody else online want to introduce yourself? Okay, somebody's at a noisy place, so they want to hear about Ripple. So why don't we just jump right into Ripple? And Jacob, you want to
Thank you very much.
take it from there?
So I talked about how the reasons why I wanted to be here. I'll clear the air. Like, who is this guy? I've done 5 startups, two IPOs. I'm from San Jose.
If I could interrupt you, does anybody have a power supply for an older MacBook Pro? Because I am slowly losing power. I've got a 58%. Anybody have that?
I don't.
Okay, well, if you're online and we lose you, it's because I've run out of juice. So,
Well, I'll try to keep my presentation concise.
now, are you screen sharing?
Yeah, it should have gone to screen share. Remember if we had that?
It was on screen share. Let's see. Hang on.
Come over here.
Yeah,
Did you bounce me off?
something happened. Let's go to this. Okay, you are screen sharing. And then we should go to this. Nope. So,
Yeah, if you click on H Jacob, we can see the screen share.
you can see Jacob's screen share?
Yeah, just click, if I, on the bottom of my Hangout screen, I see all the participants, and there's Jacob.
Oh. How about that?
So I think if you click it from your computer on Jacob's.
Yeah.
Okay. Nope.
All right.
Hi, Jay. This is Santosh. I just joined.
Hello, Santosh. Welcome.
Hi. Hi. Thank you. Hope you all are doing fine.
We are. Let's see
Yeah,
if.
Plan B, which is you have that file.
Yeah. Here we go. Let me screen share, or else
Sure.
the folks online will not be able to see this. Okay. And if, wait, what is this? Hide participants new. We don't want to do that. Sorry about the technical difficulties here, folks. We'll get this going. And let's see. Can you guys see this online?
Looks like you got it.
Okay, great.
All right, let's see. Yeah. All right. So
Will you just down arrow for me?
I can down arrow.
Okay, great. We actually did show up 10 minutes early. We did the test, but needless to say, technology always have issues. So thank you, Jay, for having me here today. To me, this is fun. A little bit about myself. We had a background of why I'm here, but I've done 5 startups. I'm from San Jose, California. Did an IPO with neoforma.com. That was the 16th most successful IPO in NASDAQ. Healthcare technology, e-commerce. It was like the internet. We invented the internet for healthcare, for Amazon, and that was I learned a lot. Moved to Phoenix, Arizona, fell in love, and then I did another startup for 10 years. And then I got bored. I quit a great job, stock options, more stock options to stay, and wanted to start over. So I've been doing startups, investing, angel, that sort of thing. So kind of doing the things I like to do at this stage of life. The reason why I got involved with blockchain is I believe that statement of blockchain is going to disrupt the internet. And oh, wait a second, I came from the internet. I was there building the internet, and that was the quote that got me hooked. And I had to learn everything about blockchain because it is going to change how files are stored, how we use cryptocurrency, how international banks use this type of technology and spin-off technologies. And I think everyone agrees Bitcoin's great. Monero, SIA, Filecoin, Dash, they all have great value to the growth of the industry. And if you have the Fidelity CEO saying that she loves Bitcoin, right? That's a big statement. So
Abigail Johnson.
yeah, this is not going away. It's going to grow and grow and grow. And likely our kids and grandkids are going to ask us about cryptocurrency and that gold rush of the cryptocurrency, because I believe there's going to be a transfer of wealth that's going to occur in the next 5 to 10 years. And those that understand Bitcoin, the blockchain technologies, and all the different models, and really have an open view, because cryptocurrency is kind of like religious to some degree. No, I'm Bitcoin. There's no way I would ever own that coin. I think our biases affect us in our decision making. So maybe today, me sharing a little bit about Ripple and what they're doing and why they're different, and the peers don't like them, it'll open up some views. I wish someone grabbed me by the shoulders in 2010 and said, put $2,000 in a Bitcoin, throw it in a coffee can, and forget about it. Right? I probably wouldn't be here. I'd probably smoking a cigar somewhere in Hawaii. That's the truth. So my presentation today is about Ripple. What is Ripple? The agenda is the consensus using Ripple, the topology of Ripple, real networks in terms of seconds, the factual, the information, not we think we can do it this way or the speed, but the actual factual speed. The proof of work and mining and validators within the Ripple consensus network. What is Ripple? Ripple is an open source enterprise platform that enables banks to settle international payments. That really is their only focus. So a lot of the purists that are cryptocurrencies are like, they're not like us. Why are banks getting involved in this? We wanted complete privacy. We're libertarians. We hate the banks. The reality is the banks see this technology, blockchain, as valuable. They've come to realize this is not going away. We have to figure out how to use this. And there was a company in San Francisco that decided, well, let's figure a way out to settle international payments using blockchain and the features and benefits of this particular technology. And I think that they're onto something here regarding the ability to focus solely on international payments. Everything is around that particular problem that they're trying to solve. Next slide, please. Why Ripple? They want quick access, so it's going to be bank-to-bank deposits, direct settlement. So banks are going to work directly with banks. There won't be an intermediary bank, a corresponding bank. So you have an originating bank, a middle bank, and then the destination bank. The removal of the intermediary bank, the corresponding bank, is a big deal. Essentially, it's Bitcoins for banks, right? Because it's going to ultimately have a quicker speed, right? Because today, if you wire money, it typically takes 1 to 3 days or 5 days, and you don't know sure if it's been wired. We've all dealt with that when we created our Bitcoin exchange accounts. Did you get my funds? Certainty, deliver certainty, right? When you send the funds, you know it's been received immediately because you're looking at seconds versus days. So be able to deliver that transfer is very important. And then also a cost, a Ripple, an XRP, or a draw is incredibly inexpensive. It's a fraction of a penny. So today you're looking at dollars to transfer for money from one bank to another bank internationally. So if you look at these values, and my background is international business. I went to Thunderbird. That's why this interests me. This is about international business, international banks. I look at this model and I think this looks familiar, being from California, and I was like, I missed it. I missed it when I didn't invest in Amazon. when they should have invested in Amazon when it was $5 or $3. Remember those days? Because it's all underneath our nose, and we have our biases, and things slide, and here they are breaching at $1,000. You look at access, immediately access online. You look at speed, they're going to be able to deliver the goods quickly. Delivered certainty, you know that goods are going to come because you receive confirmation. And you look at cost, it's cheap. Right? You cannot beat that model. Amazon's figured out that model. It's quick, fast, easy, cheap. So I think they're going to be around. I think they're going to be around simply for those reasons. And that's my personal belief regarding the values that they're trying to bring. So the banks are adopting ripples as well. 15 of the largest 50 banks in the world are using ripples today. So for a long time, it's been proof of concept. How is this going to be used? They've commercialized this. They've actually launched this. They're using it with real banks today. So these aren't just ideas or tests. This is available today in terms of transferring money between banks. What's interesting is in Japan, there's been a consortium of banks, and in the last 60 days, a press release that 40+ banks are now using ripples as well. And you've probably seen the attention that Ripple's gotten over the last 45, 60 days is because this is real now. This is going to start in Japan, like in going to other countries like Australia, because Bitcoin's now tax-free in Australia. And you'll see this global approach and potentially using the coins like Ripple and the technology like Ripple. There's 30 active integrations today, 87% coverage of Forex exchanges. So it crosses 87%, and 9 countries are implemented ripples today. What's important to understand is what's the big deal? Why did they focus on international payments? Because those are questions I like to ask myself. $5.7 trillion each day is transferred with currencies, fiat currencies, all different currency, euros, yens, yawns. So 5.7 trillion is exchanged on the Forex each day. Right? And that's the market that Ripple's trying to target. If you multiply that by 365 days, you're not looking at $1 billion problem, you're not looking at $1 trillion problem, you're looking at a quadrillion-dollar area that they're trying to have technology. So if they even achieve 1% of a quadrillion-dollar market, I think they're going to be okay. So as you do your research and you do your math, it becomes really interesting. Like, what's their approach? How they're going to work with a lot of different coins, and they believe in all coins, right? Because the Forex exchange is all dollars, all euros, all pounds, all yuans, all yens. So they're agnostic to all the cryptocurrencies. And in the future, if you have a lot of different cryptocurrencies, they want to be the common place where you can bridge and transfer with their XRPs. These are their investors: Accenture, Andreessen Horowitz, CME Group, Core Innovation Capital, Google Ventures. I'm saying each one of them because they're incredibly valuable on a global level as an investment firm. These are all blue chip, huge companies with billions of dollars, as Santander, InnoVentures, SDI Group, Digital Ventures, Seagate, and Standard Chartered. The two that popped out to me when I was doing my research is Mark Andreessen. He was one of the early pioneers of Netscape. He's got a venture fund. He's really smart, way smarter than me, and then Google Ventures. So those two popped out to me, and I said, okay, they're putting money into this. I should probably look at it at least, because it actually went through me. I mean, I was looking at all the other cryptocurrencies. I'm like, I need to pay attention here. There's some really smart people putting their dollars into this company, and I need to understand why. Next slide, please. But to the topic that we're going to discuss today, consensus. Their consensus is different, right? They don't involve mining. They don't involve proof of work or proof of stake. And they had to distill it down to what they're really trying to solve in terms of consensus and blockchains. And I'll use the blockchain and the analogy of the tree falling in the forest. A lot of you have heard about that. When a tree falls in the forest, maybe we haven't seen or heard that tree fall in the forest. But if the tree falls in the forest and you have video cameras around at different angles recording that tree falling in the forest, well, we recorded it. In many ways, a blockchain event is like that. You've been able to record an agreement and validators that tree fell in the forest. So that evolution of that concept of blockchains and the long chains that develops from that is important. That's the reason why proof of mining and Bitcoins are valuable in terms of the cryptocurrency. So the consensus is very important in terms of your general agreement. When you look at trade, I'll use a simple example of grocery stores. When you have trade, you need something to trade with. We'll use a grocery cart full of goods. And then you trade it for some type of currency. It could be cash, it could be digital assets, it could be Visa, American Express was mentioned. It could be at some point Bitcoins, NEM. A lot of different forms of currency can be used. And then you have some type of property. This is the property that I potentially anticipate is mine when I trade in that shopping cart. And then when you leave the grocery store, the owner of the grocery store cannot take the cabbage, lettuce, or the vegetables, or the milk out of your cart because there's rule of law, there's justice that says, I just traded you these coins. So that's really the concept in markets, right? And ultimately why we're looking at the use of these coins is how do we create the ability to trade. With Ripple, it's different. This is key to understand. It's different because you're dealing with international banks. Banks are physical. They know the validators. I typically trust the bank. If I'm Wells Fargo and I'm banking with Banamex, we know each other. So there's already an established form of trust. So the question is pros is whose opinion do I really care about, right, for consensus? So it's a different type of question that you would ask for someone that you don't know that you have privacy in terms of the cryptocurrency, so that you don't know the identity. The topology in the banking world, just like you have different cameras around that tree, the more cameras you have around that tree that can validate and come to the consensus that that tree fell, it's very true in the banking world as well. The more banks within your network actually strengthen the network regarding the topology and the consensus that those transactions actually occurred. So having more validators in your network improves your topology and strengthens the validity of those transactions. What's also interesting with Ripple, it's voluntary. I cannot force you to agree with me, but those of us who value agreement can achieve it. So 4 banks can't force each other to agree that this transaction is correct. There are banks, and they are sending in millions and billions of dollars, trillions of dollars each day. They can agree to those transactions. What's interesting about the topology of Ripple versus the other coins is given the right topology, opinion can avalanche. You can have too much of a good thing where you're trying to get too much consensus, right? Because eventually these mining or the blockchain becomes longer, and you have to have too much people or miners involved to verify that particular blockchain. See, so think about that in terms of banking. Banking wants transactions quickly. If I'm transacting $5.7 trillion every day, these transactions have to be verified, unchangeable quickly. You can't wait 10 minutes or a long time for that verification. So it doesn't work. The mining approach really doesn't work with Ripple. So a lot of times the purists look at Ripple and go, they're not pure. The banks are up to something, and I don't think they are. They're looking at it from a functional standpoint. So this is network metrics in terms of seconds. This is the average delay. This comes directly from Consensus 2017, Stefan Thomas's presentation. This is his information.
Very familiar.
Yeah, very familiar. I did not. So
And Stefan Thomas is with Ripple, right?
Yeah, he's the CTO of Ripple.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but how many transactions are going through Ripple right now compared to Bitcoin?
We're going to go through that.
I'll show you that.
Yeah.
So my goal isn't to. I love Bitcoins. I have coins, right? So I just want people to know that why is Ripple different, right? Why is their approach different? A lot of times you get that instant. Well, you're testing my basic beliefs of cryptocurrency, the foundation of the functionality, and here's this company coming in doing something different, and immediately we go, that's not good. I'll use the example: JCPenney's, Montgomery Rewards, Kmart. Amazon came in and everyone's like, no, they're not going to survive, and here they are today. Blockbuster with Netflix. I think different's okay, and it's okay to potentially diversify in terms of your thinking and potentially your portfolio as you look at different coins. And I mentioned earlier, I understand people get very religious about coins. This is like they absolutely want to believe it because it's going to potentially generate them a lot of money, and I hope it does for everyone. These are factual regarding the network metrics. The average second in delays for Bitcoin is 528.1 seconds. These are their slides. You can verify it's about 8.8 minutes.
Yeah.
For,
and Apple is coming out with an app on all the iPhones for Bitcoin mining. And every iPhone is going to be mining worldwide.
So that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome for them. Yeah. Every
phone
crazy.
will have a mining capability.
Yeah. So that'll help from a technology standpoint,
Yeah.
increase the ability to solve the blockchains and the delays of the blockchain. So Ripple, you have the blue blocks, you have every 3.7 seconds, and there's a lot of volumes regarding their transactions. So they're spread out. The blue lines are spread out a little bit more consistent. And then again, remember, this is the focus around banks. They're not going after the, I would say, digital asset worlds of Bitcoins or some of the cryptocurrencies. Because to me, when you're $2,000 or $3,000, you're an asset. You're not holding a coin just to hold it. I mean, it may go up a lot more, and you should. And I hope it does. But the conventional use in the international banking world won't apply to me with that type of delay that's spread out. With Ethereum, which I think is a great coin, as well as Bitcoins, you have black lines, those particular confirmation in networks, so a little bit more space. And NEM, you have a little bit more space as well. Next slide, please. So this was taken on May 19th, I think the weekend before consensus. And I'm going to zero in on the red block, which is a 5-minute sample. Next slide, please, Jay. So on the 5-minute block between Ripple and Ethereum, there's a little more spacing, right? So, and this again is the reason why Ripple believes it's important with the transactions being consistent and quicker is because you're dealing with international payments, right? That's that ability to be certain, to be quick. It's a lot different than the approach and for other blockchain companies. So I think this is a spin-off, really, a different approach of blockchain. And we've all agreed that this version of the blockchain or the technologies over the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years will change. And I'm hoping today, as you see that there are different versions happening in front of us, sometimes our own beliefs push us to believe that it only should be this way, when there's going to be many different technologies spinning off of a blockchain. And I welcome different conversations around Bitcoin. I think it's great that Apple's going to be mining that. I believe SIA's got some interest as well in Filecoin. There's a lot of different approaches. So the Ripple approach is to try to keep that speed about 3.7. And they analyzed it from a standard deviation. So the standard deviation of Bitcoin was actually higher on average seconds delay on the 1 out standard deviation than it was on the average delays per seconds. Ethereum was 14.9, which is good, and then was 56.7. Next slide, please. So proof of work, as you know, people here mine, right? And, the validators are not known, so the longer chains may appear at any time. In the banking world, it's not. It says it's not functional to have longer chains because of the random nature of these chains. So they created their own type of consensus. That's important to understand.
Is Ripple just a processing house or is it a coin?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'll if you don't mind, I have a couple slides. That's a great question.
Yeah.
So with Ripple, the consensus, right? The validators are known, so we can treat the ledger fully as final and unchangeable. Next slide. And this is where the delays occur for Ethereum. You have a longer delay for that 5-minute block sample in between the spacing. When you're dealing with international payments with trillions of dollars, having delays can be tough. So here's average delay against standard deviation, receive confirmation, which is 6 for Bitcoin, and the average confirmation seconds. Right, so it changes a little bit. So these are, when I looked at this, I'm like, okay, well, this is just a slide for Ripple. This is factual information. It's taken them a long time to get this information. They didn't have this information last year to build this, to test the speed in terms of confirmation. Next slide, please. So this is proof of work incentivizes mining, right? The cheaper you go, the more mines you're creating a factory. You have a factory, or you're creating a factory, or you build it? Yeah. So the cheaper you can build, the more equipment you can have at low cost, right? You can maximize your profit for mining. Right, that's important. This is the New York Times. This is from the snapshot of China. Everyone knows that one, right? Everyone's probably seen the video. Next slide. Right, and power is very important, right? Because you need power. So you talked about innovative approach to solving power, possibly solar. This is in China, once again, it's next to an open window, it's cheap power, so the cheaper you can mine, the more money you can make, which makes sense. And mining has become different now. It's like professional miners, right? It wasn't designed that way, but people are smart. They're figuring out a way to game the system and make more money, and they should. So mining itself is an art and a science in itself. With Ripple, this is the Bank of Tokyo. They have their server racks. Next slide. And this is their data center. It's a little more secure. They use temperature, wind. They have high security. So going to your question, JP, regarding the structure, you had the originating bank, you have the destination bank. You no longer have that middle bank, right? You have Ripple Connect. Ripple is two parts. Ripple Connect has a communication system, and if today when you wire money you use SWIFT or ISO, right? That's an old legacy system, and if you look a little further, you go, okay, I get it now. What's the purpose of Internet of Value? They're going to complement, eventually transform, and evolve with the use of blockchain technologies and communication networks, potentially enhance SWIFT, right? Because SWIFT deals with the trillions of dollars of forex exchanges and bank settlements. So that's one component of it, is they have the technology platform. And the founder was Tim Larson. He was the founder of eloan.com. And Brad Garlinghouse, who's the CEO today, he came from AOL. He was a pioneer at AOL. So they have some pretty smart guys that are used to pioneering technology. This isn't a group of people just trying to figure this out as they go along. They kind of have a vision focus around international payments. So with Ripple Connect, I'm sorry, can you go back down? Yeah, there you go. With Ripple Connect, you have that messaging platform, which will be valuable, and a lot of the banks are starting to use. You also have the settlement part, right? So with Bitcoins, if you want to use Bitcoins, you can transfer Bitcoins to the Interledger protocol for Ripples, right? And settle with Ripples, or you can transfer with different coins. We talked earlier that 5.7 trillion, right? They take all these different currencies, right? And they have international bank settlements. Well, that needs to happen also with all these different coins. There needs to be a form for that. And Ripple believes they can provide that service with the, if you go up a little bit, Jay, you'll see the IPL for that interconnect. Yeah, and that's their logo right there. Yeah, the Ripple network. Right, so we'll be able to have two. And within the last mile of this journey, right, for them, right, when the product strategy and roadmap, the last mile is for the liquidity and mass adoption of XRP, right, which is their coin, right? So like, well, these guys just created a coin themselves, and they agree. But that's the last mile. They have to create so much foundation in their technology regarding the communication for Ripple Connect, and then ultimately the XRP. Reality, I've done a lot of research on them. They were really kind of like a step in, they weren't really a high tier coin for a long time, and in the last 60 days, they just shot up in terms of the major investment, billions of dollars.
Like sub 1 cent forever.
Yeah, they were sub like half a penny, right? Yeah. Or even at one point, 0.006, yeah. Right? And now they're at, today, I think it was like 22 cents, 24 cents. It went to 40 cents. It was nuts. There was a period where.
Was this Ripple?
This is Ripple. Yeah. If you put quite a bit of money in the really early days, you'd be a millionaire right now. I mean, there's a lot of people holding a lot of these coins. And this kind of goes back to my story. I wish someone told me in 2010, just grabbed me by the collar and said, put a little bit into Bitcoin. Just forget about it. Just take the risk for that. They're at 24 cents today. I'm not asking you to do anything you don't want to do. I never had anyone tell me that, right? And I thought about that. I wish someone told me and sat me down and say, put $100 into Bitcoins or a reasonable amount that I sacrifice a vacation to Vegas or something, right? And then, you just look at that. I think Ripple, from their platform, their business model, what they're doing, they're going to do something. And hopefully you'll look back and you go, you're that crazy Asian guy that talked about that. He was that guy that told me to grab the collars, because I never had that for Bitcoin, which 7 years ago. And I'm pretty good at watching and looking for technology and opportunities.
Just a quick disclaimer, that's
Sure.
Jacob's opinion.
Yeah, it's Jacob's opinion.
Expect to lose every single dollar or whatever you put into these cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, only if invest what you can afford. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome.
Next slide, please. Yeah. So the benefits for the banks is real-time settlements, no counterparty risk. That's important to understand. There's no more need in the future for Nostros accounts. Banks have to create Nostros accounts, $5 million accounts with Wells Fargo's and Banamex, right? And then they exchange funds. And if one bank fails, right, let's say in Asia, it could potentially create contagions. You've heard about that, right? And all these banks start failing. Well, that'll start limiting contagion and counterparty risk. So potential will help them in that particular regard. Also, you have flexible liquidity. That's the ultimate goal, is to be liquid. Touch every corridors of the earth, right? In terms of being able to have liquidity with your currency or any currency. Okay, that's the ultimate goal. And a lower operational cost. This will be a profit center for them, because today they send dollars. It costs them dollars to send it through to the current model. But with Swift, with Ripples, it's pennies on the dollar. So the fast, cheaper model that Amazon talked about, we all love today, is the same model that they're promoting. Next slide.
Who created XRP?
Well, Ripple did. They have two. Yeah, they have two different entities. One is the company itself, Ripple, and my belief is at some point likely they'll go public as an enterprise company. And they also have the coin, which kind of leads into the next point is XRP is 4-second transactions. And I think Ethereum's great for contracts. They all complement. This is the thing. Is this industry is big enough, cryptocurrency is big enough to grow to a huge $1 trillion pot, right? I don't think we need to be slinging at each other like this coin's not good, this coin's not good. I see value in all of it. What will ultimately happen is the market's going to shake itself out. We all know that, right? Just like the .com days, and you'll see survivors. Ripple has $1 billion in cash right now as a reserve to make through those particular bumps in the road. From scalability, transactions per second, Ripple can transact 1,000 transactions per second. The Ethereum and Bitcoins, as you know, a little bit slower. Next. They're distributed across the globe. That's really important for them with their set of validators. Talking a little bit about that. And they're established. They've been around for 5 years, right? So that's good to know. They use little energy consumption. That's something they promote on social. What's interesting is that over 30 million ledgers have been created and all been closed without any issues since inception. I thought that was interesting. Usually you have debates, or I lost a transaction, but I thought that was pretty interesting that they never had any issues, and they've all settled the ledgers since inception.
How many coins does Ripple or XRP have?
Yeah, they have a lot.
Is it like 100 trillion?
Yeah, they have 100 billion.
100 billion.
Yeah, and they burn ripples, right? So
I'm gonna switch over to
I almost fell on my chair when I saw that. I was like, 100 billion, like what kind of scam is this, right? And then I realized, I thought about it, like, what's their approach? $2 quadrillion market, 5.7 trillion a day. They're going to need enough, right, for all banks, and if it gets to the normal person that's using ripples, they're going to need a lot of ripples, right? But they won't create any more after 100 billion. So I thought it was a pretty bold number that they said, let's do 100 billion. For us, it doesn't work to have mining, proof of work, and proof of stake, because we're doing international settlement of payments. And they just recently, in the last 2-3 weeks, put 55 billion ripples
in a smart contract
in a smart contract where it's an escrow, it can't be released, and it's over for the next, is it 10 years?
Something like that. It's time release.
Yeah. So it's smart, because if Ripple's go in value to $1, $3, $5, whatever it is, in 10 years from now, right? Let's shoot high and go $3, right? That sounds like a lot, but it's not compared to Bitcoin at $2,000 or Dash or Monero, right? But let's say it goes to $3. They're not going to try to sell it today for 22 cents when they can sell it later, right? At some point for $3 or $5. So to them, they're holding that as a reserve if they ever need to use it. But again, they have $1 billion in the bank. They have a lot of deep investors, a lot of potential partners that we're going to hear over the next 6 to 12 months that they're going to integrate. They were going to demo Ethereum, the linkage between Ethereum and Ripple with ILP at Consensus 2017. They didn't have enough time to do that. And they really didn't get that much buzz. To me, I know this is recorded and Ripple may be seeing this. I think they were calm about it. They didn't try to, I think the press releases prior with the banks created enough buzz when we went to 3.5 cents to 40 cents. I mean, if you had, you're looking at half a penny or 0.00, you're looking at $5,000, $10,000 return. It was just nuts, Yeah. I'm happy if I get a 6-7% return from my index fund, and here we are looking at these crazy numbers.
It's had about like 1,000% return just last month, I think.
In the last month, 1,000%.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So, everybody should be aware of this CoinMarketCap website and kind of follow along because this is the best way to track all the different cryptocurrencies and see what the prices are doing and basically get into their websites and track them over time and whatever. But this is, I used to be a stockbroker, a securities broker for like 10 years. And I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen penny stocks. I've never seen anything like this. And I didn't specialize in penny stocks or anything else. I specialized in municipal bonds. But for Ethereum, which is at $230 an Ether, you could have got Ether at 10 cents an Ether when it first came out, which was like August of 2015. 15. So less than 2 years, you've seen something go from 10 cents to $230. That's insane.
I think I'm responsible for about 99% of the site's traffic.
You're always checking it. Yeah, I believe, and this is my approach, because I went on a wild ride with Ripple. I mean, it's gone crazy up and then it dropped. And there's pros in here. There's pro traders in this. And I genuinely believe for the sanity of yourself and your family, is treat it like a coffee can. Buy whatever you can afford, throw in a coffee can, and don't think about it. Let it sit for 2, 3, 5 years. And then 5 to 10 years, when you open it up, you might be really surprised. But there's what's occurring is you see a lot of price drops, right? So it's almost like they know your stop loss, right, on the exchanges.
That's right.
Right? And then it wipes out your coins. You get cash, but they know what your stop loss is, right? So for the sanity, there was a group that they studied of investors that chose the blue chip companies, the best business models that they think. They took 30 of them, top 30 companies in 1940, strewn a coffee can. Right? They forgot about it and watching them invest, and it was hundreds of millions of dollars later. Yeah. So I absolutely believe whatever you can afford, throw in the coffee can, and then 10, 15, 20 years from now, right? You're gonna go, my coffee can for crypto coins is crazy, right?
$5 of Bitcoin in 2010, $4.4 million today.
And growing. I mean, I don't think it's over. I think it's gonna be a huge, huge asset. Yeah.
I think 90% of the coins are going to be gone.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be a shakeout of the weaker companies, business models, value, and it's unfortunate. So I look at the management teams, how many developers they have. Ripple has 150 people on their team, quite a bit of money in Silicon Valley. Guys have done it before. I don't want, if someone's creating a coin, like you said, it's so easy to create a coin now. Who's creating that coin? Right?
Yeah.
Just look at the banking industry.
We're going to talk about a new vehicle to make it easier to create a coin. which is the protocol lab stuff. So, any other questions before we turn it over to George to talk about the possibility of a Phoenix?
Hey.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, this is Santosh. Am I audible?
Yes, Santosh.
Yeah. So basically, my question is more related to its like decentralization and centralization of these blockchain technologies. Is it the right forum to ask?
In terms of decentralization and centralization?
Yeah.
It is, but they're trying to centralize it as well. They're trying to do a decentralized approach.
So did you hear what Jacob just said?
Never going to happen.
Santosh? So Jacob is basically saying that right now they're centralized, but they're working to be decentralized.
Yeah, they're listening to the community, and everyone was fearful. You have 100 billion ripples out there. I'm not touching you. It's just there's such a dilution. I won't touch you. So they solved it by putting 55 million ripples in the escrow, right? And then the decentralized topics is a big deal as well. While you're centralized, it's control. Well, they're going to try to decentralize the validators as well. So they're trying to solve this as it becomes an issue for the community and people that want it, because their goal is mass adoption. They're not focused around international payments. So unless they solve those issues, right, directly, sincerely, no one's going to adopt it. So I believe in time they're going to solve a lot of these issues and have some creativity around it. And here's the thing, banks aren't bad. I mean, we all have a bank account, right? I mean, I'm not, no one's hired me from a bank to talk about this. I think cryptocurrency is great. I love it. I love Bitcoins, but we all have banks, and we put some of our money in banks. I find it hard that everyone would just do it in one form. You have different ways of protecting money.
Yeah.
And so the purists say, well, the banks are involved now. They're going to take control. Well, here's the reality. Bitcoin isn't going to go to $3,000 or $10,000 without mainstream adoption, right? And without mainstream adoption, that means normal people thinking, right? Not just as that libertarian, let's get rid of banks, because you're not going to get rid of them. What they can do is they can coexist and complement a lot of these different types of business models and cryptocurrencies.
I think those are great points, Jacob, and I think what everybody needs to keep in mind is all of these cryptocurrencies are sort of like work in progress, and I call them proof of concepts, because I don't think anybody has really nailed how to handle the consensus, how to handle the scaling, the human side of this. All of that's open and on the table for innovation. So
I have a question from Jack, who's actually joining us, but his microphone's not working.
Okay.
He's curious about how to kind of buy into some of these currencies, how to get involved.
Yeah, there's exchanges. You can go through Poloniex, you can go through Bitstamp. There's what other exchanges? Coinbase is huge. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways.
You can go to Starbucks, get a bag of cash, and
you can buy through Bitcoins as well. There's a way you can actually use your dollars, use your credit card to buy Bitcoins. It's kind of funky, because when I did mine, I won't name the exchange because I'm very heightened about security and giving. The hackers are great; they can find you, and but it's different now. You actually have to take a picture. I was telling Jay and I had lunch one time, and I said I actually had to take a picture of my passport.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then if you want to do credit card transactions, because I was going, I gotta buy some more. It's going up, right? You gotta hold your credit card with your middle finger on the middle. I mean, it's pretty serious. Like a lot of exchanges are really afraid of hackers going into their systems. So there's some hassle to it. There's a hassle factor.
So the kind of tangent to the question also is, do you invest in Ripple or do you invest in XRP? What's the difference?
Yeah, the only way today you can invest is in the XRPs, because Ripple, the company, is not public yet, right? I think at some point it would make sense for them to go public as well, because the Ripple Connect that potentially complements and transforms SWIFT and ISO is real. I think it's going to be that next level technology, their legacy system. So there'll be opportunities possibly down the road with Ripple as a ownership share in the company.
Right,
And again,
so they're not traded publicly currently, but
yeah, they're not. Yeah, I'm here to talk about it. I always go back to I wish someone grabbed me by the collars and said, "Here, look at Ripple. I mean, look at Bitcoin. This is what they do. Shift your thoughts, your biases." Because I remember I sat on my couch in 2010 reading the Wall Street Journal and reading about the 2 pizzas that were sold at 10,000.
Yeah.
Those Bitcoins.
$5 Bitcoin.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
5 cents.
yeah,
5
it's
cents.
10,000
10,000
Bitcoins for a pizza.
Yeah,
My first Bitcoin
I
transaction.
remember exactly where I was because I'm like, I have 2,000, 5,000 of those I can just throw. And now for a split second, I'm like, I should do this just for fun because it's so cool and different. And then I got scared and I'm like, it shook my basic belief that currency should be created by the Federal Reserve. I mean, these guys are criminals. They're creating money out of thin air, right? But I just wish someone actually said, no, you really need to shift your thinking, be a little bit more open-minded. And then I think, like I said, I think I'd be smoking a cigar sitting in Kauai somewhere right now.
Yeah.
Hiding, probably.
All right. Thank you, Jacob, for all that. That's awesome presentation. You put a lot of work into that. I didn't know. I didn't know only maybe 10% of that about Ripple. So thank you. I'm going to turn it over to George to talk about the possibility of creating a blockchain workspace in Phoenix. And do you have a presentation or no? Or?
Sure. Actually, for today, I do not have a presentation for this group. I'm putting together a presentation for other stakeholders, but my primary thing is just to speak with you guys, and because ideally we would like to have a large showing of people in the community to come on board. So briefly, quick history about me that's relevant to this is that when I was at ASU, I started the startup village there. And so that kind of got me in the space of creating workspaces or collaboration and creating places, physical places for people to come together and sort of foster that creativity and drive a lot more, build a lot more momentum that way. And so one of the things I want to do is so I've started going around meeting with stakeholders at economic development groups. I've spoken with Jay about this, and what we're in the works of doing is building together somewhat of a mini consortium, if you will, to harness a lot of the research and a lot of the development in the blockchain space and bring it down to how can we utilize that here in Phoenix. And one of the things that I believe we'll need to do to facilitate that is have an actual workspace where we can drive all of that activity and centralize it so that whether 2 or 3 different groups are meeting or we're having events there, that we can have that as a space that is public, that we can leverage to develop there, to meet with people there, and to also use for publicity and for our projects and anything like that. And so, for instance, one of the things we're looking at are co-working spaces where we would set this up and have a permanent place where we would have branding, where we would have stakeholders like the energy companies, like the identity companies, the manufacturing supply chain companies, as well as representatives from the ASU who are heavily involved in generating IP and helping to bring some of the use cases that would benefit the economy here, for instance, in asset management or logistics, and bring it to a local level where we would harness this global technology and drive use case and prototyping and proof of concept somewhere where we can have a lot of our people here involved in building that and working together and fostering that. So as far as for us, I would just like to have, we'll be sending Jay an email so that we can distribute it to the mailing list, kind of overviewing the project and just getting some support to see if this is something that people would like. I think it has some benefits, and Jay thinks it has some benefit. And so I think some showing us some support from the community is definitely going to drive something. A lot of the stakeholders are interested in this technology, as you've seen. A lot of major players do see the power for this to disrupt their industries, and Arizona has a competitive advantage in a lot of these. And so I think that we're building a lot of support on that end. And so as long as we can bring the community involved as well, this is something that's gaining momentum.
Go ahead.
I think it'll help to recruit the local blockchain businesses already.
Yeah.
Like, I remember hearing about Dash, which is a coin company out here. I don't know much about it, but they're at SkySong. Maybe they, like, if you start talking to groups like that, like, it'd make it more local.
There's Nexus on Mill too, right?
Yeah, Nexus is on Mill. And
I think we talked about Rex MLS, or might be here maybe. Someone's talking about this as well.
I'm not familiar with them at all, but the the best example is Ethereum. So in like I think middle of 2013 in Toronto, somebody decided, hey, we're going to take over a house. So they started in some house in Toronto, and they started to coalesce this group of people, including Vitalik Buterin, who was like 19 years old at the time. And the next thing you know, they've got some people with business expertise and some people with crypto expertise and blah, blah, blah. And they create Ethereum, which is now the second most valuable crypto that's available.
Did Microsoft buy them?
No.
They have a stake in Ethereum, but they don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Microsoft, and I was in San Francisco at the end of January for something called Construct 2017, which was by invitation only. And Microsoft is very, very interested in identity on the blockchain. So I actually went to a private workshop at one of the Microsoft working spaces in San Francisco. So having a physical location to have like sort of serendipitous connections and interactions and whatever I think is critical. If Phoenix really wants to be on the map, not only for this decentralized web and cryptocurrency and cybersecurity, a physical space is mandatory, and maybe a few of them.
Yeah.
In this week's business journal or whatever, I think Inc. magazine rated Cahoots and Galvanize in like the top 15, and I think Cahoots was number 4 or 5 nationwide for collaborative workspaces. So anyway. So thanks, George. Any other questions, comments, suggestions, ideas?
I'd be very interesting to hear more.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm going to shoot over Jay an email so you can send it to everyone. Obviously, you can reach out to me. I'll give you my information as well.
Did he just say we need to take over a house?
We can get a house.
Yeah, we're going to take over houses. We're
I'm
going to
saying
take
that
over
ASU
whole
is supplying the
neighborhoods.
space.
Yeah, so ASU has begun to innovate in blockchain as well. And so
They're supplying a space for you.
Oh, no. So
No,
that was when I was at Startup Village. This was when I was in my undergrad. They gave us 15 houses for engineering students and business people to do startups. So
Yeah, I think Dash is actually a tenant at SkySong. So it's not like gratis or anything else.
Yeah, and I'm open to suggestions. If SkySong, has that appeal, I think that's a good location as well. Having a house, I think, would be cool too. There's many possibilities here, and so we're just beginning these discussions. We're getting a lot of good feedback from people that instantly hear the idea and instant buy-in from most of the people I talk to. So I'm going to try and put together some more information and kind of centralize all these efforts.
What are the challenges? You get this is a great idea, and then it fizzles out. How sometimes that happens. What are the challenges to getting the group involved, engaged, and then skin in the game, right? Because at that point,
Exactly. So one, I think you're right. I think just that general interest in the follow-up action tends to, if you wait too long to follow up. So one of the ways I'm trying to combat this is for the ask from all of the people that I would hope to join and sponsor this initiative, is actually to invite them all to a dinner where we can draft a constitution, come up with the commitments and expectations of what people will be supplying, what we're expecting, And so that way we can have the ask there in a social situation where we've got all of that energy, and you know, once you do get social validation, things tend to move a little bit faster. So I'm hoping by having, by hosting it in that sort of forum, that we can kind of get the buy-in and take care of that in one night, hopefully, instead of dragging that process out for months.
Could you like crowdfunding with Bitcoin?
Yeah.
And I don't know much about data mining, but maybe you can do like a data mining marathon. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that, so I did work with some of the hackathons at ASU, and so I think having, you know, putting together a hackathon to coincide with this event, maybe as a, you know, the beginning of the day, and then we can follow into the evening for that. I think definitely a way to keep that momentum going.
Do you do trials? Do you do like a 6-month trials? You know, like where?
As far as what?
Well, for the Constitution and the development
Oh, yeah.
of space,
Yeah.
and as it achieves successes, and
Yeah, exactly.
get more space.
So
and,
one of the things that I would was planning on doing is hopefully having it in a way where the sponsor companies would just kind of in that part of that process let us know what they're looking to get out of it, and let us innovate on some of the use cases, and with the university as well, with some of the interns and the researchers there, and develop some of the use cases there where once we start putting together deliverables, we can, you know, negotiate and maybe get upgrade space or technology as things need to be upgraded.
Okay.
I got
Cool.
one question.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is Corey, by the way.
Hi, Corey.
I think I did a lot, but I've looked a lot for space in Phoenix. Have you found any or looked at spaces?
So the initial places that we're going to be meeting with are Cahoots, the department, Galvanize, places like this, SkySong as well. I'm going to try and meet with everyone and see if we can get some sort of sponsorships there. But as of right now, I've been focused on the co-working spaces mostly.
So Cahoots ended up being really surprised, and then at Central and Thomas, there's a place called Mod that is all pretty reasonable. Galvanize was fairly expensive, but maybe they have some sort of, you know, maybe they'll donate some or maybe reduce the price, but that's just some input. But yes, very interesting. I like your concept.
Corey, do you have a spare bedroom or anything?
I actually probably could make a spare bedroom.
Corey's awesome. She's interested in some really cool social applications in like developing countries, and she's got a wealth of experience from American Express. So thanks for your comments, Corey.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so we're almost to the end. I'm gonna zip over to, let's see, I'm gonna zip over to what's happening, the announcements that came last week for Filecoin. And this somewhat ties into what we're talking about in terms of how could this be funded and what's possible. So for those of you that don't know about Protocol Labs or IPFS, IPFS is a radically different approach to handling data. All peer-to-peer, completely decentralized, content addressed. We've spent a lot of time at Desert Blockchain talking about IPFS. We've done some demos and so forth. It's what I focus on most of my time is on IPFS. IPFS was created by a fellow named Juan Benet, who was at Stanford, and it was kind of his brainchild. He started something called Protocol Labs, which is the for-profit entity, and there's always been this idea of having a cryptocurrency that works in conjunction with IPFS so that people can earn money by storing other people's data, and you can pay people money to keep your data permanent and secure over time. That's called Filecoin, and they are finally getting to a point where they're going to be launching Filecoin, which is really exciting. And I sent out a link to a Forbes article that you can kind of read the overall design of Filecoin and CoinList and SAFT. But I would just want to show you a few resources. This is, if you click through the Filecoin miner tab, this is basically what they're looking for. If you want to start mining, if you can, they're actually taking applications to become sort of like a prototype miner. Here's an idea of what you know, some of the space you might need, 10 terabytes up to petabytes. And by the way, Raspberry Pi, somebody's creating a device where you can put a Raspberry Pi and connect it to a terabyte hard drive. And that's supposed to come out within like a week or so. So, and that's going to be, I think, maybe $100. So that's something I'm looking at as a way to get in on this Filecoin storage and mining and so forth.
You mean as an add-on board?
Like an
A
add-on.
daughter board or something?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, they've got this survey that you can go through and fill it out and sign up to be considered a Filecoin miner when it launches. I think that's an attractive alternative. Here is on the coinlist.co. They've got a where you can register for the token sale and become and again, I am not advocating Filecoin or CoinList or anything else. Expect to lose 100% of your money and have your grandmother yelling at you and everything else. This is a stupid idea. Don't do it.
Don't mortgage your house.
That's right. Don't mortgage your house. So get your own attorney and blah, blah, blah. All the disclaimers. When I was a securities broker, we used to have these prospectuses that would be like this thick with every single detail you could possibly imagine. You give it to people, they'd never read it. It was just sort of like a doorstop. Anyway, so you can go to coinlist.co and you can learn about their token sale that's coming up. This is something called the accreditation report. In order to be in on the initial token offering for Filecoin, you have to be an accredited investor. What that means is you have to have at least $200,000 a year in income or $1 million net worth. So that's by limiting this to accredited investors, that covers a lot of their exposure that other people that have been doing ICOs have not done. And I think this is really smart. So the next thing is, you got to get like an attorney or whatever to, I guess, vouch that you are a accredited investor and whatever. Yeah, that you're rich, yeah. Now, after you pay the attorney, you don't have your $1 million or your $200,000 net. Anyway, then the other thing is that they're coming out with, and I think this ties into the idea of having a physical location in Phoenix, is they have this SAFT, which is something like safe. I can't remember what the acronym stands for. But anyway, what they're doing is kind of like giving everybody the ability to have a sort of a standardized legal framework in order to, create an entity, launch an ICO, and all that stuff. I think that's really, really cool. And it'll be interesting to see how that develops. But this is sort of like giving you like training wheels to start your own crypto and do an ICO.
Is that like for creating a coin based on a current blockchain or creating an entire blockchain?
That I don't know. It's just their idea is to give people an easier access to creating their own crypto and their coins and so forth. Now, I believe they're going to take a piece of whatever you create, but at least this starts to give the overall ecosystem and community sort of a standardized path to set these structures up. And I think that's really, really interesting. So I think the last thing is, this is the Forbes article where you can talk about, where you can read about, you know, coin lists, SAFTs, Filecoin, etc. And they do a pretty good job in this Forbes article of talking about some of the pitfalls of, you know, what others might not have done, or it might come back to bite them, that, you know, their ICOs are actually considered securities, which could be big, big problems. So anyway, I think that's about it.
So are there more details on the Filecoin launching, like when?
I think they, well, what I would recommend is you check the IRC channel for IPFS.
Yeah. It didn't seem very active when I was in there.
It's pretty active.
Maybe I was in the wrong
Yeah.
one.
Well, if you go to IRC IPFS, and they've got a botbot.me, which gives you a history of, you know, a digest of what's taken place. That's not only is it full of information about what's happening, what's coming up, but there's a ton of really, really smart people that are pointing you to different resources on GitHub, videos and everything else, so you can learn about all the different elements of IPFS.
So is it going to be like within the year, within a couple?
No, it's supposed to be within a couple weeks.
Wow. Okay.
So Filecoin is supposed to be the first ICO for CoinList.
What's their price?
I don't know.
What they're going to raise?
I don't know what they're going to raise. I don't know exactly when they're going to do it, but
Last time I checked their website, it seems it had a notice that they had their old white paper from like 2014 or something like that, but it said that their new white paper was coming soon. Is that going to be?
I think that is on the Filecoin. If you go down, let's see. I think they might have a new here's white paper 2.0.
Oh, okay.
So that's probably what you're looking for.
Jason, can you talk about the storage? Because today's storage to me is like EMC. And, I mean, how does Filecoin store?
So I don't know too much about Filecoin. That's why I was waiting for the new paper. But there's a very good white paper from Storage, just relaunched on the Ethereum blockchain, Storage X. They used to be on the Counterparty blockchain, I believe, which was their ICO finished, you know, about a week ago or something. I don't remember how much $1 million, but it's kind of a slower ICO. But that is definitely a recommended read. It's very, very technical and very in depth. There's also the CEO white paper, but the idea is essentially you're not storing, at least for these ones, you're not really storing your entire file on one, you know, hard drive. You're kind of breaking up this file and storing it in mass in different places that we kind of cut down the risk of loss of your files.
So content addressing versus location addressing.
Yes. Correct.
All right. Any other questions about the Protocol Labs and IPFS, Filecoin?
I have one question about Ripple. Well, you mentioned that there's a possibility that Ripple might go public. I believe so. I also am a big fan of Ripple. What does that mean for the coin?
The coin itself is the last mile of their product roadmap. It was mentioned by some of their executives. But they have to create the Ripple Connect. So banks need to start adopting it. So they have that Ripple Connect communication platform. And then they're going to encourage the development of the interledger protocol, right? So you have Ripple IPL, you'll exchange all the coins. And then over time, when you have more more mainstream people holding ripples, then that ripple will likely increase in demand. When banks transact using ripples, they burn ripples. So that's how you lower. They have a 100 billion limit, and it's lower now. I think it's like 99 billion something, right? They've actually burned every time you do a transaction. So the coins actually increase in value over time. So it has the same concept and idea of mining, where it's deflationary, right? The coins actually become more valuable over time because of the burning of the ripples, the XRPs. But the last leg, this is really a patient long-term play, which is the last leg of their platform really is the mass adoption and usage of ripples in the conventional sense, where a lot of banks are using it. What's interesting is banks are going to be coming up with their own currencies too, right? Everyone wants to get on the game. Oh, well, I want to create my own coin. Maybe Bank of America or JP Morgan will create their own coin because they trade a lot in Forexes, right? A lot of foreign exchange currencies. But ultimately, it comes back to that same question that you have to ask is, well, there has to be some kind of platform and common denominator to change all these coins, right? And Ripple XRP wants to be that particular coin, right? They're agnostic. You want to build an exchange with Bitcoins, with Dash, with Ethereum. There'll be all spin-offs of business models and companies from the original blockchain technology. But for them, they want to be able to focus on international payments. So they want to be able to be the settlement coin on a daily basis of 5.7 trillion. And the reality is, will they do that? For all of that, no, because other currencies are still used. But even if they got 2% or 5% or 10% of that 5.7 trillion on a daily basis, you'll see how the XRPs become more valuable.
Some of the fees for these international transactions are upwards of like 27%, right? So is that where they're capitalizing, right?
Yeah.
And so this would also play almost like the role that petrodollars would play today.
Yeah, and I have a totally great conversation about that, where that's going, but I prefer that to be not
recorded.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions from the folks online before we wrap it up? All right.
Hey, this is Santosh. I just have one question.
Go ahead.
Jacob, coming to Ripple and all the cryptocurrencies that are coming in, are they actually trying to take a piece of share in the entire transaction processing network? Because right now, if I look at it, most of the transactions are processed by giant companies like Visa, Master, and American Express. Is it what they are trying to take a share of these transaction processing systems? I mean, keeping that remittances aside.
I wish it was yes or no, simple answer, but it's a complicated answer. Is it could be because yes, Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, they're digital assets, right? They're used in conjunction or complement with fiat currency like the US dollar. Do I think that's the goal? No, the goal is really to be the network, the global network for international settled payments. I don't think it does that because people use Visa on a daily basis or MasterCard Express to transact for goods. They're focused on the international component. So if you look at their validators and their icons, it's a bank to a bank. It's not a bank to a human being, right? Because humans are the one.
It's not business to consumer.
Right.
It's business to business, basically.
Yeah, bank to bank, B2B, bank to bank, business to business. It's not really traditionally B2C, right? So really, the last leg, where it may take years, right? I don't know. I can't predict that. The last leg is the actual liquidity and usage of XRPs, because they can't do that until they do the foundational infrastructure of global payment settlements, and the banks are actually using their systems. And then eventually, the goal, they hope, is the banks realize, okay, we created our own coin, it's not taken off, or people don't want to use it for whatever reason, or they realize we have a coin, but we still need to exchange it within the the ILP, the Interledger Protocol, and then they'll start changing with XRPs.
Yeah, the banks are really, really interested in this area. They're all, there's something called R3 that is a consortium of about 70 banks, I think. And it has a funding of $200+ million to do R&D in this space. So you might want to check on R3 if you're interested in what the appetite of the banks is for blockchain distributed ledger stuff. And they've actually backed away a little bit from blockchain. So anyway, I would like to say before we wrap it up that IBM has agreed to do a day-long event at the end of July, which I'll be sending some information on the Hyperledger project. And we might actually, this morning I went down to the IBM office at Central and Thomas to look at their space for holding a day-long event, where basically we would have about a 2-hour presentation in the morning on Hyperledger, break for lunch, and then come back and have some like Hello World projects to build on Hyperledger. So that's probably what we're going to do. And it might not be at the IBM office on Central and Thomas, but it will definitely be focused on the Hyperledger project. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned on the meetup group for more information. That'll be the day-long event at the end of July. Next month, we'll have another monthly session like this from 7 to 8:30. Not quite sure where it'll be, but I'll be reaching out to a few people that have expressed interest in doing some presentations. If you're interested in doing a presentation, please let me know. But hopefully this is the type of thing that is providing information in this space. We're starting to get to know one another. We're talking about having a physical location, and hopefully we're starting to build a larger community that is interested in this area, which I consider to be as disruptive and revolutionary as the introduction of the internet. So any other questions, comments, whatever? Before we wrap it up, I think we're right at about 8:30. Yep, 8:30. So right
one small question. It's like I actually wanted to be there. I mean, present there for the session. So can I be there for the next session or so next meetup?
Yeah, in fact, we're looking for a location, Santosh. So, how big's your house?
click join now for the next month's meeting.
Yeah, you can definitely be in the next one. So.
Yeah, because I'm very much fascinated by this technology, and I've been reading articles and doing some research since like last October. And like, to be honest, I bought few cryptocurrencies as well. Yeah, so that's why I'm showing so much interest. I like the way you did this session, and thank you guys. I met you on Meetup, but you're awesome.
Great.
It was very informative. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and have a good night. This is all recorded, and please feel free to make comments on the Meetup group as well. We could start to use that as kind of a communication channel for basically anybody that's interested. So, all right, have a good night, and thanks for your time and attention.